All right, what's going on, guys? It's your boy TT. I'm out here with IPF. Today we're doing something kind of different. It's not Pokemon. We're just talking about basketball. It's episode number 3 of the Buzzer Beater Basketball Podcast.
Oh boy, that's a throwback.
That is a hard throwback. I know what you're thinking. You're like, what do you mean episode 3? You've never done this before. Yeah. It was like 2 years ago that we started, almost.
Oh shit, was it that long?
I
Fuck.
think it was either 2 years or 1 year. I don't remember, but it's been a long time. We
I think
released
it
two
was
episodes.
between what was that? Junior and senior year for us.
Yeah, so that was 2 years.
Fucking hell, bro. No, junior and
No, that
senior.
was last year. Okay, that was 1
That's
year
one
ago.
year. That's 1 year. Fuck me, that was a long time.
Yeah, that was so long ago. So we did release 2 episodes. I think they might still be on iTunes. I might have taken them down. I don't
I
remember.
don't know. Okay, so what happened was did them. We were like super excited, and then it took 50 years to figure out how to get them onto like a podcasting, like hosting
Hmm.
website app thingy. So we had struggles with that, and then school started, and we're like, "Fuck this, we can't do it anymore."
Yeah, but now somehow after I moved across the planet, we've managed to figure out a schedule where we can actually record. Like, I don't know if
I
you
mean,
guys have noticed, but we've been streaming at fixed times over the weekend, pretty much.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Basically, like school's been a lot. Like school was a lot busier than college for us because like at least we get
Hmm.
weekends here,
Yeah,
so you know, can spend a couple of hours every weekend just chilling.
yeah.
And that is why we're reviving this.
But this will probably not be on iTunes unless like I really don't know. It's probably not gonna be on iTunes. It's gonna be YouTube only.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
we'll keep it there.
Yeah, and if you guys enjoy it, we might stream it and then upload the stream highlight to YouTube, so we can take like questions and stuff in real time. But we'll see if it gets bigger or not. I don't know. As of now, it's just us talking about basketball. Buzzer Beater Basketball Podcast. What do you want to talk about first?
Um. Okay. We could go start positively, or we could start like negatively.
I mean, do you just want to go team by team and just talk about our thoughts on each team, like
I bet.
okay,
So alphabetical order.
alphabetical, or do you want to do East West?
All right, fine. East West.
Okay, all right, pull up the
East.
teams. By the way, I'm recording this. We're recording this as the Lakers are playing the Raptors. I was
So yeah, if you
originally,
hear ATT just like decide to die halfway through, it's because the Raptors are fucking killing the Lakers right now.
yeah. So the original plan was to record this after the Lakers Raptors game and then be like a reaction kind of thing, or at least my reaction to it. So first of all, you should know I'm a Laker fan, a huge Laker fan. And IPF is a Rockets fan. Um,
Mm.
So,
Not a good tangent, bro.
yeah, you're right. But so yeah, the Lakers are currently playing. It's currently the break between the third and fourth quarters. The Lakers are down 20. So if I randomly start screaming, it hey, maybe the Lakers are coming back. 'Cause I'm still watching the game. But for now, it's pretty much over. So let's get into it with like the Hawks, Atlanta Hawks.
Oh, and one more reason that I think this is a good idea to revive is that when we did this last year, we did this before the season started,
Hmm.
and looking back at our predictions, we were not far off.
Oh,
With a
we
lot of
were
them.
spot on, dude. I called the Lakers wins to the dot, like exactly 35 wins. I'm proud of that.
I'm pretty sure
But
I called the Rockets going number 1 seed as well,
I think you did too. Yeah, you might be
and
right.
the Celtics. We called both of them.
Yeah, we called this. I remember I called the Celtics. And I also called that the Cavs would not make the Eastern Conference Finals. I was so
I mean,
close
to
to
be
that.
fair, they were close to
Yeah.
not getting it.
They were so close. It took 2 7-game series for them to get there, but um, you know. So yeah, I
To be
think
fair,
we
they should have
could.
lost round one, but whatever.
I know that's what I'm saying. I predicted
And
them
the
to lose
Pacers. I
round
think the
2,
Pacers are really good.
but
All right,
um,
so Eastern Conference.
okay.
Looking at standings, we're starting off with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yo, the Bucks. Ever since they got Coach Bud, dude, if Coach Bud doesn't win Coach of the Year,
Okay, it's been 10 games, a bit like 9 games. It's not
9 games.
It's a bit early for this, but sure. Like looking at like it's basically the same team as last year, minus like a lot of key players. Like they lost Jabari and stuff.
Jabari
But
didn't really help them at all, though. Offensively, yeah, kind of, but they didn't need his. Like, they had enough shot creators, I felt like, and he just hurt them so much on defense. Like, I can see why losing him is better for them.
but okay, like what I mean to say is that they have like ideally the same, if not like a slightly worse roster than
Mhm.
last year.
Mhm.
and it just shows how bad of a coach Jason Kidd is, really.
Basically, yeah. That's why I'm saying like Coach Bud deserves to be Mike Budenholzer. Yo, why are coaches' names so hard to say?
It makes him unique. Actually, why do all coaches have like unique names like that?
That's what I'm saying. The only one that doesn't is like,
Brad Stevens.
yeah, Brad Stevens is the most like white name in the world.
Actually,
But
never mind. There's like Brett Brown.
okay, Brett Brown. Let's see who else. Terry Stotts is a weird name.
Stotts is like a weird last name.
Yeah, it's a weird name. Steve Kerr. I guess Steve Kerr is kind of common. Kerr is like whatever. It's not very common, but
D'Antoni.
no, D'Antoni is a really whack name, especially for a white person. Like,
He's like Italian. Like what?
oh, he's Italian. I didn't know that. Hey, the more you know. Luke Walton is a pretty common. I guess just a whatever name.
I don't know. Okay, yeah. So
Okay, we're getting sidetracked. Yeah.
Back a track. Yeah, Bucks playing well. Giannis playing obviously very well.
I think
Good to
MVP
see
favorite.
him.
Do you think MVP favorite?
He, yeah. I mean, him along with probably Kawhi.
Mhm.
Probably Curry at this point.
I don't know about that, dude. I don't think
I mean, at
Curry
this
ever
point,
has the
it's
chance
like
to.
it's like at this point, like if the guy plays like this for the whole season, you have to like really think about it.
I'd consider it if I had a vote. Obviously, I don't have a vote. I would consider it, but
But yeah, the Bucks. It's like it's just very refreshing to see a superstar talent such as Giannis in a system that actually favors good basketball, as opposed to throw the ball into Giannis and just let him do whatever like last year.
yeah, Jason Kidd. I really like Jason Kidd as a player. He's a horrible human being, but I liked him as a player. I thought he would make it as a coach. Maybe he'll get another chance with another team, maybe the G League. But I was really rooting for him, but obviously, it didn't work out there.
All right, so okay, we can't go too in depth with every single team because there's fucking 30 teams.
Right.
But yeah, all right, so we'll move on to the Raptors. Obviously, big pickup Kawhi Leonard in the offseason. Team looks really good. Currently smashing the Lakers. Everything looks good for them right now.
Yeah, keep in mind they're up 23 on the Lakers right now without Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah,
So,
without Kawhi.
um,
That's a pretty big thing.
on the road,
Rockets
like
going
on the road in Staples Center. So like it's currently they're doing really well. Somehow, Dwayne Casey, not Dwayne Casey. What's his name?
Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse. Yeah, Nick Nurse. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. Nick Nurse has managed to make the team a lot more modern in the sense that they're taking even more threes than they did last season.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with DeRozan not really like slowing down the offense and just sucking up
Mhm.
usage and like shots.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot more ball movement, a lot more like share the rock kind of basketball going on, which is obviously good for the team. They look like serious threats out east. Like
Mhm.
the Bucks, Raptors, Pacers, and Celtics, and the Sixers all look really good.
Yeah.
Like
They
those
do.
top five teams. Sixers
do.
so far not amazing, but I feel like once they get their shit together, they should be a really good team. So
I don't know. I feel like the Sixers until okay, we'll get into the Sixers later on. I don't want to get too deep into them, but the Raptors for sure right now, I think they're the best team in the East right now.
they're
Like
playing like ridiculous.
they're playing.
Yeah, they
I
haven't
know.
shown any signs of like just playing badly. Their
Yeah.
only loss was to the Bucks, and in that game, Kawhi and Giannis both weren't playing.
Yeah,
That's not
exactly.
really like a good representative
Mhm.
of who is the best team technically.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I think like I know the record. I think the records are the same.
Yeah, both are
Um
8-1.
yeah, and they're about to be 9-1. And it's just 9 more minutes. By the time we're done with this podcast, it's gonna be 9-1. I guarantee it. Unfortunately, but yeah, I think they've been playing really well. I think the biggest thing to me is they've managed to make Jonas Valanciunas good again. Last season, he like really struggled just in the system, because he wasn't very good defensively and all that stuff. But this year, he has a slightly different role, and it kind of fits him better. I feel like so. They're like making Nick Nurse is making better use of the personnel than Dwayne Casey did last season. Obviously,
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard is just better than DeRozan in every way. So
I mean, and Lowry's playing like well. Like Lowry's
Yeah,
playing
he's
really
averaging like career high assists, I think, or leading the league in assists. One of the two. I don't
overall
remember
the
which.
team just looked really good. Like once
Mhm.
again they had the bench mob from last year, so like is they're not losing anything once the starters come off.
Mhm. That's really
So
important
it's just
too.
a
Yeah.
very solid team. I don't see anything wrong with them.
Mhm. Yeah. They're fun to
Um
watch.
yeah. All right, we shall move on to the Pacers at number 3. Pacers, I saw them beat the Celtics the other day. Was it yesterday, I guess?
I think it was yesterday.
Very solid team. They look ridiculously good again.
They do.
I
I'm
mean, okay, like
surprised.
they
Mhm.
look really good, but Oladipo is just
Mhm.
it's like really crazy to see like the guy who was like everyone was just bashing on him when he was on the Thunder to go into the Pacers and just bossing up. Like
Yep.
he's played like ridiculously well for the last like 2 seasons,
Yeah.
and
I
it's good to see. It's like a feel good story.
It really is. I remember when they drafted him and like the Magic drafted him, I think 4 years ago now. 2014 was it? I'm not sure. 4 or 5 years ago when he was on the Magic. I remember they're like, the draft is just weak. I think it was 2013 actually. They're like the draft is just weak, and that's why he's number two. But like back then, I kind of like he seemed like he showed flashes, but then he never really got too much better, and then obviously he was overshadowed by Westbrook in OKC. And as soon as they moved him, he just like blew up, and like it's
I was
a
always like a I was always like a really big fan of Oladipo. It's really good to see him play well,
yeah
and it's good to see the Pacers do well as well. Like
yeah
their team doesn't have any like standout names apart from like Oladipo, but as a unit, they're playing very solid.
they are
Like
they're playing really good team basketball, and they're fun to
very
watch.
solid defense.
Yeah,
Like
really good
looking at their
defensively.
last few games, they're like not like giving up points very easily at
hmm
all.
I actually haven't watched a full Pacer game this season, but from what I can tell, they seem to be clicking everywhere, which is good to see, obviously.
Alright, we'll move on to the Celtics. Just lost to the Pacers, in fact.
No,
Slow start, very slow start.
I can't tell
Even
with
though
the Celtics.
like they're 6-3, which like saying it's a slow start is kind of weird, but
Given the talent that they have on that team, like that, yeah, I would say that is a slow start. I don't know,
I mean slow start is really just considering that Hayward and Kyrie
Kyrie.
haven't really been playing as well as they could be.
hmm
Like the Celtics, you would expect them to be like probably 8-1 or like at least like 7-2
Close,
or something.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's obviously stupid to say that when they're 6-3, which is literally just one game or 2 games off. But they haven't looked like very convincing because a lot of their wins haven't been like
They've been
against
close, and
great
they've been close.
opposition.
Yeah, and they've been
Um, Looking at
like,
this, they played the Sixers, they lost to the Raptors, they beat the Knicks, lost to the Magic, which is a bad loss,
hmm
and then they ripped off 4 straight. They beat the Thunder, Pistons twice, and the Bucks, which is a good win, and then they
yeah,
lost to the Pacers, obviously.
yeah.
So
It's
obviously they're not struggling or anything, but
Yeah, there's nothing to be worried about with that team for now, but I just feel like they could be better. Because going into the season, I had them as the best team in the East by far, and so far they haven't looked like that based on how they performed in the playoffs last year. I thought the young players would take a step forward, which they did. Jason Tatum has been balling for them. I think he might be their best player right now. Um, but Gordon Hayward's kind of struggled coming back from his injury. I think it'll take him a couple of weeks maybe to get his legs under him, because that was an awful injury. Coming
as a
back from that is
team,
tough.
as a team, they just need to start clicking. That's like the main thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Once they can get that down, then once again we should be talking about them as like title contenders.
I still think they're the favorites to make it out of the East, but we'll see if. I think the
Yeah, as a
Raptors.
playoff proven and ready team, the Celtics do look better out of like the 4 or 5 teams I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, we'll see. It's still really, really early in the season, of course. But I'm excited to watch Celtics play, which is hard for me to say because I hate the Celtics. I'm a Laker fan, but I can't deny how good of a team they are.
They're good and they're also pretty good to watch as well. They're a likable team, like apart from dumbass Marcus Smart, but that's just bias. So
Yeah, you're right. Like if I as a really crazy Laker fan can say that I would watch Celtics games. Like that just tells you they're up there, really.
next up, the Sixers. Um, bad start, 6-5. Not sure. They just lost to the Nets, in fact, which is not a game we should be losing.
I have a kind of hot take.
Yeah, I know you're very low on Ben Simmons, so is this about him?
Yeah, this is definitely about him. I think until he can shoot, and he's leading the offense. The Sixers are not going to be successful. By successful, I mean like they'll make playoffs, they'll make the second round probably, but they're never going to reach their full potential until either Ben Simmons plays a slightly smaller role in their offense or he can score outside of the restricted area. One of the two needs to change.
Yeah,
And
there's a couple of issues with this team. I think Simmons has been underwhelming to start.
Mhm.
Embiid has been a monster, as everyone.
Embiid has. Embiid is like he's one of my favorite players. So I'm starting to get tired of his random like antics on Twitter. It's entertaining, but like sometimes you just gotta like if you're trash talking after you lost a game, like that's not a good
Yeah, that's
look.
a bit much. You should be winning games before you talk shit.
Yeah,
But he's been playing ridiculously.
he
well,
has.
Which like, so individually he is backing it up, but as a unit, as a team, it's not happening.
Yeah, they're kind of. I think they're still They're still struggling to figure out what the right lineups are. They're like. I think they're starting Markel Fultz and then bringing him off the bench in the second half. Like they're still trying to figure out what his role is in the offense because he also can't shoot, of course, and that was his best attribute coming out of college. It was just being a scorer, somebody you can give the ball to and he'll drop 20 points a game. But obviously he hasn't been able to do that yet, and he's not the best defensive player. He's not the best passer. He's okay, but we'll have to see what happens with Markel Fultz. I'm kind of low on him, but not as low as I am, on Ben Simmons. I just don't think.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to learn how to shoot. It's pretty.
I think the only reason Ben Simmons is as good as he is right now is because he has Embiid to play off of.
Yeah, like he's averaging 8 assists per game, and I'm pretty sure half of those are just dumping the ball down to Embiid in the post.
Yeah, and another 3 out of those are probably just kickouts to JJ Redick in the corner. Like, I don't. I'm not saying that Ben Simmons is a bad player and he didn't deserve to be first overall pick and all the hype surrounding him is like all of it is wrong, but I think you should be a little bit the team, not you, but the team should be a little bit more cautious with how they play him. Not from a health or injury perspective, but just the way that he fits into offenses.
Yeah. I mean, they're still a very entertaining team to watch.
Oh yeah, they're fun. They're so much fun to watch in transition.
All right, so we shall move on. So obviously, top 5 teams, they are actually our favorites to make it all the way through. I'm thinking Raptors, Celtics, Eastern Conference Finals, Bucks and Pacers lose in the semis. That's like what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Unless somehow the Raptors and Celtics meet before that.
Yeah, sorry. But the Sixers are also a team that you think would do really well in the playoffs, just because they have like a player which they can just throw the ball into,
right?
And you are like almost bound to get some points out of it.
Yeah, and they have some pretty good veterans in their locker room, so yeah, experience counts in the playoffs.
Next team we shall be looking at is the Hornets.
And what's their record right now?
They are 5-5. So okay, we're going. Now we're going into the teams that are just going neutral or are just like bad at this point.
Right.
So,
yeah, because the top 5, the East is so top heavy. Like that's basically it. That's the only talent on the East. We just covered
the
all.
Hornets as a team, really not like interesting. I'll be like very serious with this. I feel like Kemba Walker needs to get out of there. I'm very annoyed that one of like the most like exciting guards to watch in the league is stuck on a team like the Hornets.
I don't know. I don't want to say I have higher expectations of that team because I really don't. After everything that they've shown, and the talent that's on their team, but I just feel like
it's like 5-5 is expected from this roster. I think they will finish the season like 41-41.
Yeah, I think that's a good estimate. They'll finish close to between 40-45 wins at the like most, and that's considering that they play in the East. That's it. When they're matched up against the Magic and stuff, like that's for the most part that's gonna be a free win. So I don't know. The Hornets.
It's really not ideal. As a team, they're just a do nothing kind of team.
Yeah, pretty much. Like they're just there at this point. Like you look at them, you're like, okay, it's the Hornets, whatever. Because I don't know what direction the franchise is going in. I don't know if they're still trying to build around Kemba and trying to be competitive. If they're trying to tank for like, because they haven't. They've tanked, but they haven't tanked hard enough to get the best players in the draft. Like they have some good pieces, but
Yeah, they're one of those teams which are like, they have the centerpiece kind of player. Though Kemba, it should be like a number 2 kind of like guy on
yeah.
a good team.
Yeah.
But
Also,
that's what
Alonzo just
Kemba should
made
be.
the greatest 3-point-3 of his career. By the way,
All right, bro. They're still losing by 17.
they
So,
are, but I'm still watching the game, and it's just a pleasant sight to see. We'll get to the Lakers later, obviously, but it's just nice to see that he's actually knocking down his shots. Sorry, back to the Hornets.
okay, no, not back to the Hornets. We shall move on to the next team.
Okay, what's next? Who next?
Next team is the Pistons. Most interesting thing to come out of this team this year is Blake Griffin dropping 50 on the
50
on the
points.
Sixers.
50
And that is
points.
the only interesting thing. They have lost 4 straight after starting 4-0.
Yeah.
So,
And like I don't a lot of people are like, "Oh, are the Pistons for real when they started
No.
4-0?" I'm like, "No, there's no way. Look at who they're playing. Look at how they're winning." Also Lonzo just knocked down an and 1 3. No, they didn't call the foul, but no, they did call the foul. Beautiful 3 in the corner. Anyway.
yo, that lead's actually starting to get a bit lower.
Okay, it's 14 points. There's 4 minutes to go. Like it's over. Stop making
Not
it.
really. A
Stop-
couple of threes and it might be there.
If Lonzo catches fire, Steph Curry with the 40-inch vertical, it looks like it. What a
Alright,
shot, dude.
looking
What a
at
shot.
okay, looking at the Pistons, they
Sorry.
have the same team as last year.
Pretty much, yeah.
If not worse.
I think worse.
Blake Griffin's obviously balling out. He's like playing well, sure, cool, whatever. You're basically looking at the Clippers, but just a lot worse.
You know what I think about Blake Griffin? You know that I used to really, really be high on Blake Griffin. Like, I was probably too high on him, given, everything else that happened. He did suffer a lot of injuries and stuff. I feel like the beginning of the season, he always starts off really well, and then he just falls off a cliff sometime in December. Every season. Like, remember a couple years ago we were talking about him being a top 2, like, MVP candidate, and then he just died.
I mean, that was like 5 years ago. And
No, this was more
wasn't.
recent than that. It was like 3 years ago, I think.
Nah, bro. This is like.
It was the last year of the Chris Paul and DJ Clippers.
Alright, that was you then. I was never that high on.
I was high. No, I was unrealistically high on him. I'll give you that for sure. But like I don't know, with Blake, I feel like you need to give him a little bit more time before we really start judging his entire season, because I don't think he has what he used to anymore.
I mean, yeah. I mean, okay, he started out hot. Look at that. But the Pistons, bad team, very bad team. That's like just like, understood for me. Like they're not
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
They might sneak like an 8 seed in the playoffs.
I think
And
they'll
that
make
is
the, I think
part
they'll
of it.
make the playoffs just as a virtue of how bad the rest of the conference has looked so far.
Yeah, like the East is top heavy. The top 5 teams are really good, is
And-
what I think. And then after that, it drops off massively.
Yeah.
So you could see like a pretty cool fight for like the 7, 8 seeds.
Yeah, 6, 7, 8 seed pretty much.
Yeah.
Because top 5 are more or
Um,
less locked. The order might move around a little bit, but
Right, so after the Pistons, the Nets. Now, the Nets are 4 and 6. They just beat the Sixers actually. But it's a weird kind of team. They've had a pretty tough schedule looking at it,
yeah, they have.
and they haven't really lost by like huge margins at any point really. So like they're a lot better than what people thought they would be.
That's true. They are. I feel like it's kind of like, I don't know if stigma is the right word surrounding the Nets, but it's just a perception at this point. Because after the whole trade with the Celtics and they had no future,
Oh boy.
it's just yeah, you think of the Nets, you're like, okay, worst team in the league. But like, that's not how it's been the last 2 years at least. Like they've started to, like, I think they have their own pick back next in the next upcoming draft. I could
I don't
be
know,
wrong,
actually.
but I'm like
I think they did. I think they're out of that. Like
the Celtics thing.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they're out of it now.
yeah. So like, it might be starting to turn around a little bit for them in Brooklyn. A little bit.
Okay, like as a team, the Nets, D'Angelo Russell playing pretty like solidly. I'm not like very high on it. I think he's very okay. He has far too high of a usage rate and like just not quite as high as the results that should be corresponding to that.
Yeah,
Is what I think. He sucks up use like he just like he's a vacuum of the ball. You give it to him, he's probably shooting.
pretty much.
Um,
Yep, he was like that on the Lakers as well. Like I was never too high on him, even when he was on the Lakers. Like I would really try to talk myself into him being better than he really was, but because obviously I wanted the Lakers to do well, but um, I don't think he has what it takes to be a star point guard in this league quite yet. Maybe he'll
other
develop into it, but I
okay,
don't think so.
other than D'Angelo,
I think
Joe Harris.
Jared
Joe Harris
Allen.
is like,
We need to talk about Jared Allen.
oh yeah, that's the center. Like he's
Yeah,
hurt.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm
He's been like balling out the last 2 seasons. My God. But obviously he's not a star. He's just a defensive role player. But he's
yeah,
fun
they
to
have like a
watch.
lot of solid kind of players. Joe Harris is like knockdown shooter.
Yep.
Rodney Hollis Jefferson and Spencer Dinwiddie off the bench is also pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
they're not bad by any means. They're just not
They're not good
good, great.
because they don't have anybody to go to just get them a couple of buckets, or anything remotely close to that. So it's gonna be a few more years until they fully come back around. But I think they're on the right side of the trajectory at this point.
All right, moving on to the out of playoff position teams. So that is the Heat, Hawks, Magic, Knicks, Wizards, Bulls, Cavs.
Some of those teams just
All right,
depress
so
me
it's
thinking
pretty,
about them.
it's pretty tough to it's pretty tough to like go through all of them. So I figure we'll like kind of group a few together. I think major storylines in the bottom couple of teams is probably just the Wizards.
The Wizards and I want to
Or
touch on the Cavs.
Lizards, as some people are calling them, because they only take L's.
The Lizards. Yeah, the Wizards, and I want to talk about the Cavs a little bit because the rest of the teams we'll touch on them a little bit, but I don't know, the Wizards, I feel like they're the most underachieving team in NBA history. Just look at the talent that is actually on that team. They should not be 1-9 or 1-8 or whatever the record is right
They
now.
are 2-8 right now.
2-8, so they won. Okay. Oh yeah, they
Wait,
beat
2-7.
2-7.
Yeah.
Okay. Like they should be a good team. They should be in the top 5 in the East, I think. I think purely talent-wise, I think the Wizards roster on paper is better than the Pacers roster is. But it just doesn't work out. Locker room, like that locker room is cancer. That locker
Yeah,
room is so
very
bad.
It's been like that for a while, and I think I've heard a lot of people talking about it, and I do agree that John Wall is probably the problem.
Yeah,
Because,
I think so.
If there's a problem, if your star player is complaining about something every year, then it's probably the player himself who's the issue.
Yeah, you're right. If you know what, this is just life advice. If you have problems with a lot of people in your area, in your class, in your in your workspace or whatever, if you're having problems with everybody else, chances are you're the actual problem. So some introspection might be in order.
I mean, obviously, we don't think they're gonna continue playing like this for the whole year. Like keeping up a 2-7 is pretty. It's actually difficult to do with this roster.
Yeah, I think so.
They're very top heavy, which isn't good at all. Like in fact, I'm looking at their bench unit, and
They don't have a bench unit.
Jeff Green has gotten 27 minutes. Austin Rivers has gotten 25, and one Saturansky has gotten 14. No one else has gotten more than 5 minutes.
That's
So they're
just
extremely top heavy.
yeah.
Um,
It's basically Wall and Beal trying to do something on their own.
yeah, they have a bad locker room. Just no team chemistry whatsoever.
By the way, it's a 10-point game, Lakers Raptors. 2 minutes to go.
It's 2.5 minutes. I don't know. Okay.
We'll see.
Well, we shall see if that game. This is live reactions. We'll see.
We'll
what
see.
happens.
We'll see. I don't have any expectations that we're gonna win this game,
Bro, if
but
the Raptors lose this, is not a good look.
you know what? Yeah, you're right. This would be an awful look. It might help. You know what? Do you think it would help Kawhi Leonard's MVP chances if the Raptors lose without him?
I don't know. I mean, to be fair, they're just getting they're getting outplayed in the fourth, like bluntly.
They're getting out. They're not getting outplayed. They're just getting out hustled, really. And Kuzma's putting on a show right now. He's being really clutch. That's all I can say. Kuzma and Lonzo, both of them. Anyway, back to the East.
Okay, yeah, okay. So look, the Wizards, we expect them to get better. It's obviously not gonna stay like that forever, but they do need to fix a lot of things if they want to be the good, like very good team that they should be in the East right now.
Okay, hot take.
Um,
Hot take. They need to
yeah, go ahead.
trade one of the. They need to trade John Wall.
John Wall is not getting traded because of that contract. It's just not going anywhere.
Okay, you're right. It's gonna be hard to trade him, but they need to.
I don't think it's physically possible to trade him
Yeah,
unless you're trading into a team with like a lot of free cap space.
the Sixers.
Nah, the Sixers is like okay. Look, think like the Sixers. They need to keep their options open because they want to sign like Embiid and Simmons to like long-term deals. Surely.
NBA. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I agree. Just thinking a lot, but I think they need to figure out a way to move him because he's
No,
not.
see, like,
Oh, Lonzo, what a play! Oh, make that, make that. Yes, no, no. Oh, tough. That was a good play, but it's too late now.
all right. So moving on from that, Beal's like got 25 million locked up for the next 4 years or something.
Mhm.
Wall is on a huge contract that is yet to start.
Yeah, you're right.
Um,
The extension hasn't even kicked in yet, which is
they
crazy.
paid Otto Porter Jr. a massive amount in the offseason, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they paid him a max or close to max.
Yeah.
Which
So
is ridiculous.
if all your money is locked up in those three and they're such huge contracts that it's like impossible to move them, it's tough.
It's
It's
over.
gonna be really tough for the Wizards to make any changes.
Yeah, I don't know. You're saying that you really think they're gonna get better. I don't think they're making the playoffs this season, at all.
It's okay. It's like tough to call because I feel like with Wall and Beal they should like make the playoffs. 2-7 is like just a like it's bad start. They were expected to be like very average, so it's like below what everyone thought they would be.
Mhm.
But no one was really thinking they're gonna be like a top threat in the East or
Okay.
anything.
Yeah. No, you're right, but I don't think they barely squeaked into the playoffs last season. By the way, it's 121-107 final score, so that's
Oh, the
it.
game's over. Okay.
We can, if you want, we can get into that later on when we talk about the Lakers. I'll get into it, but
Yeah, I'm gonna let him talk about the Lakers. There's no point in me talking about them really.
okay.
Okay, to finish up, okay, we're gonna be like, I think we should kind of just brush past the Heat, Hawks, Magic, Knicks, and Bulls because
Yeah, for the most part, I just want to talk about the Magic a little bit. They're kind of showing some positive signs with Mo Bamba. I think they can try to move Vucevic.
yeah, that's right. Vucevic is right there.
Vucevic, okay. Try to move him from maybe a first rounder, like a late first rounder, to somebody that can actually use his talent. He's not a bad player. But he doesn't fit their timeline at all. If they can do that, I think they're looking like a solid team for the future behind Bamba and
Aaron Gordon, yeah,
Aaron Gordon and I'm forgetting his other Jonathan Isaac.
yeah, him. But
Yeah.
I don't think they're giving him that many minutes. They have like Frank Vogel coaching.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. If they because Bamba, Vucevic, and Isaac, they all want to play center. So that's what if they can move Vucevic for some type of either young prospect or a pick, I think that would be the right move for them for their franchise. But they're starting to get a little bit better. But the Magic, they've never been good ever. They get a star center and then end up losing him to LA every single time. So,
Really.
we'll see how that goes. Okay, and I think that's it. Do you want to talk about any other team in the East
Also, the Cavs should not be as bad as they are. They do still have Kevin Love, which
Who's
should be
injured?
worth something.
who's injured?
Yeah, like okay, we don't think they're gonna be a bottom team in the East by any means, but they're not gonna be good either. So
They're not gonna be good. I think they might make like eighth seed if they're able to turn around. If Kevin Love is able to go back to like Minnesota, Kevin Love,
Yeah,
I think he can
that's
drag
all
them.
that really needs to be said about the Cavs realistically. Like it's just like uninteresting team. Nothing really going on there. They're gonna be bad for a while.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of that's like
LeBron?
the aftermath of having LeBron on your team. No matter what, like you can try as hard as you want, but you're gonna be left in shambles and you're gonna have to be rebuilding. So
All right, moving on to the Western Conference.
okay.
Warriors number one. Not not unexpected. Pretty much what everyone thought would happen.
What are you
They're playing
talking about?
ridiculously well.
What do you mean? I thought the Warriors would fall off this year after they signed their fifth All Star.
Yeah,
Really?
but he hasn't even played yet, and he's been ejected
He's
somehow.
been ejected.
Shout
He's
out to Boogie. Shout
yeah.
out him.
Yo, shout outs, dude. Shout outs to
I
Boogie.
find it funny how like even in the interview, Steve Kerr has said, yeah, we'll take him on, we'll get him a ring, and then he can leave after this year.
Yeah,
Like
Steve
they know
Kerr.
they're winning.
Hmm.
Like they just know they're gonna win this year, which is
One, they know.
admirable confidence.
One, they know they're gonna win, and two, they know that they're not gonna sign him again. They're like, "Fuck it, you want okay, you want a free ring? Sure, hop on, we'll take you, but we have no plans of keeping you around here."
So honestly, I don't really feel like saying too much about him. It's exactly what you expected from this team. Curry's been playing amazing. Klay Thompson went off against who
The
they
Bulls.
play? I can't remember.
The
The
Bulls.
right? Yeah. 92-50 was the halftime score.
Yeah, 92, and then I think it was like 46 or something like that. But
Something stupid.
yeah,
Curry went off one game. Durant is about to go off on some game.
he will. He
Yeah,
hasn't
and-
yet, but it's of course it's going to happen. He's like multiple time scoring champion and MVP.
It's really what you expect. They are predicted to win the league this year by all accounts.
Like heavy ass favorites.
So let's just not dwell on them for too long.
Yeah, there really isn't
should
much to
move
talk
on.
about.
We should move on to the Nuggets at the 2 seed, which is a big surprise. They are 8-1.
By the way, that one loss was like a really close game to the Lakers. Like they could very easily be 9-0, which is
Yeah, I mean they
crazy.
got a win over the Warriors. They are the Warriors.
They're
So
also
they are
the worst. They seem legit, which is what's really surprising to me is that the Nuggets were an amazing offense. Well, not amazing, but they were really good offense last year, and they struggled defensively.
They were like top 5 offense
Yeah, they were
last
top
year.
5, but they struggled defensively. This year, for whatever reason, they're one. I think they're like top 10 at least in defensive rating, and their offense is what's kind of. I don't want to say struggling because they're not struggling is like not the right word for it, but their offense is like slowed down relative to last year, which is I just think that's really interesting based on because it's almost the same personnel.
Yeah, I consider that like kind of a trade-off. Like, they had like pretty much zero defensive effort. So I think some of that effort that was going on offense is decided to come back.
Yeah, and I
on the other
think
end of the floor.
I think
it's
Paul
paying off-
Millsap,
paying off, like, well for them.
right, and I think Paul Millsap coming back and being more healthy is a big part of that as well.
Yeah.
But I don't,
You very rarely see teams which are like top 5 offense and top 5 defense. Like,
yeah, the
what
Warriors
comes to mind is like last year's Rockets, Warriors, I think,
and like the
Bulls,
Spurs
like-
and like the
Yeah,
old
Spurs.
Spurs,
But those are like extremely good teams,
right?
which had the personnel on both sides.
Yeah,
So yeah, and it's like it's surprising to see a team like the Nuggets went from like bottom 5 defense last year to like get it
Mhm.
up this year.
right.
So it's pretty good.
I think they're serious. I don't think they have a legitimate shot at the finals, of course.
Of course not.
I don't
No,
think.
I think the Nuggets are probably a Western Conference semis team.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. I don't even think they're gonna make the Western Conference Finals.
I'm still holding out hope for a certain team that will come much later in the video
Mhm.
because they are very low in the standings right now.
Yeah, yeah. Also, by the way, if you haven't noticed, if you've been listening this like this far in and you haven't noticed, there's no video to this video. It's just I might have a graphic up of like I don't know, but or it just might be a black screen. We'll see. But yeah, you could just like listen to this while you're doing whatever else you want. Like,
It
some-
is a podcast.
yeah, it's a podcast.
People
So
can watch it.
well, but okay, some people record like live podcasts. I don't know why they call it a podcast, but it's basically a video because like
Okay, whose phone is that?
that was my roommates. But
Unfortunate.
can't do nothing about that.
Unfortunate.
Anyway, back to the number
Alright,
3
next
seed.
The Trailblazers at 6-3. Now
Mm.
they've been good. Damian Lillard has been really good.
Oh, sorry. He's been balling, but I don't know. The Blazers have a really weird history. Their team hasn't changed too much either. So like,
Let's see, 6-3 seems like pretty solid for them.
yeah, it seems
I
good.
think that looks about right for how they
Mhm.
should be playing for the rest of the year. 50-win team, kind of.
Yeah,
but-
the point there is, are they going to be consistent throughout the season? That we'll have to find out because
Well, the Blazers are known for starting very slowly and like
Yeah,
just playing
picking up.
ridiculously well in the second half. So if they're starting well, that's good signs.
it's a good
Uh,
sign. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to sustain it because
Oh,
they've
the
never
Blazers are-
sustained it. Because like,
The Blazers, sorry, 1 second. The Blazers are 7-3, by the way. Let me just correct that.
okay, 7-3.
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
All right, continue.
Yeah, so like the Blazers have never been good for long stretches of time. Like they'll play well for the 2 months, 3 months after All-Star break, and then they'll be like not mediocre, but not as good in the playoffs. So like, I don't know if they can sustain this for a full season. Is basically what my thoughts are on it so far.
But I feel like the sweep to the Pelicans last year was pretty bad matchup. I know this is a Pokemon channel. Don't think of it was a tough like.
It was a tough cover.
Pelicans, yeah, like they had no way to get on Anthony Davis at all, and Drew Holiday was like playing like a monster that entire series.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very tough. Like the guards are their like major offensive production. In fact, their only offensive.
Their only offense. I think Nurkic is
And
averaging career highs right now. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think Nurkic is averaging career high in both field goal percentage and points per game right now, but still the majority of their offense.
Well, yeah.
Still the majority of their offense
yeah,
is the guards.
Primary offense is the guards, and when your opponents have defensive studs like Drew Holiday and Rondo,
Somehow
it's
playoff
gonna be
Rondo
tough to get any points up. Like they had no way of getting like consistent production from their guards, and they had no way of stopping Anthony Davis at all on the offense end.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the sweep was not indicative of how good they were last year.
That's true.
But by any means, they're not amazing. Is what we're trying to get at.
Right.
The sweep just wasn't a good representation of what they were last year.
Right.
And they're pretty much going to be the same team this year.
More or less, yeah.
So yeah, solid team, but just not.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of know what you're gonna get from the Blazers for the most part. Like as a season on a whole, you know that they're gonna finish.
There's gonna
pretty
be a
highly.
few highlight games where Lillard and McCollum just go insane, combined for like 70 points. Those are must-watch highlights because those two playing at like a high level is very fun to watch.
They are really fun to watch. Yeah.
Right. Number 4 in the West right now is the Spurs. They are also 6 and actually no, they're 6-4 now because they lost to the Magic.
I don't know what to think of the Spurs because like
it's tough because it's basically last year's team, but they added DeRozan.
Right, but they also lost Danny Green, who I think was he didn't have the
Not
best season last year.
huge.
Yeah, not last season, but in general, he's somebody given in playoff time. He's somebody that you can kind of rely on because he has the experience, championship experience there. But I feel like the Spurs, it kind of comes down to how consistent DeMar DeRozan can be. Because so far he's been shooting the lights out from mid-range and passing the ball. I think he's averaging career highs in assists, if I'm not mistaken. And we've never seen him do that before. So, you know, he's fit well into the Spurs system so far, but we'll have to see how sustainable it is. But I think it's just you can never really go wrong with Popovich. Like he's the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest basketball coach to have ever coached, and like he led a team of basically scrubs and Patty Mills to the playoffs last season. So you can never ever count them out.
Like you're gonna get something. He will get something out of this team. I think they could be a top 4 or 5 seed in the West. But honestly, though people say the West is like insane and all that stuff, I think they're pretty weak this year. In fact,
Who is?
as a conference, the West. I think their top is pretty weak, and they have a lot of teams in between.
I think when people
50
say,
range.
the way I see it, at least I don't know how other people take it. The way I see it, when they say the West is hard, I feel like it's because the distribution of talent in the West is like quite evenly distributed. Like how the East is so top heavy.
Like, the East like have really good top 5 teams, whereas in the West you have like 2 or 3 clear cut very good teams, and then the rest are in that 40 to 50 win range.
Right.
And that's like 7 teams.
Yeah.
So they're all fighting for a playoff spot from the 3rd seed onward, pretty much.
Yeah, that's what makes it tough.
Like I suppose they don't have like standout teams everywhere, but a lot of very solid good teams.
Yeah.
Moving on from the Spurs, we have the Memphis Grizzlies. Not sure what to think. I think Marc Gasol, I don't know what's happening with him. I don't know if he should retire or should just leave. I don't know what's happening.
Okay, retirement might be a slight overreaction there, but Yeah,
33, but like he's not supposed to be a star player anymore.
yeah, his age is definitely catching up to him. So I think it might. I don't want to say blow it up, but I think it might be time to start focusing more on Jaren Jackson Jr. than it is on Mike Conley and Marc Gasol.
Yeah, Conley and Gasol, I think that Grandera, they're like the two remaining pieces from that, and I think it's time to move on because, well, they're not a good team.
There's really not. Yeah, there's not much to say. Like Conley's been playing well for them, but I think I don't know if moving him is worth it, but
it's not possible. He's on like the third or fourth base contract in the league. Once again, these are like unmovable contracts.
Yeah,
he's gonna be there until it finishes up.
Basically, or maybe the season before, where people want expiring money. Like that's a thing. Like the Lakers really went after last season.
I don't like the supermax contract. If I'm being honest, it's like you sign the guy for 5 years. Time is done. Prime. So you end up paying like 35 to 40 million for a guy who's not even
right. I feel like it's the same thing with a lot of teams. That's why I'm not a fan of the whole supermax deal, because it's supposed to keep players in their original teams, like because they get more money, but
you're really screwing them over at the same time.
You're really screwing either you're screwing yourself up by locking yourself into insane amounts of money, or you're forced to move those players like Paul George because you know that it's not going to work out there, and you're forced to move them for less value than they're actually worth. So like it makes it tough.
Like a lot of like something that hurts me personally is that Chris Paul, 33 years old, is signed for 35 million for the next 4 years.
Yeah, that's gonna be
like per year he's getting 35. Yeah, so he's gonna be 37 by the end of his contract
and making close to $40 million a year.
So yeah, like though the Rockets are good now, I mean they're not good now, but you know what I mean.
They're supposed to be good now. I think they'll turn it around this season.
They will. Like there's no doubt that they will. It's just a matter of like when. So yeah, it's gonna hurt because obviously once like James Harden is like 29 or 30 now, I think.
I think so. 29 might be right.
Yeah, so I think as a team they have one or two more good years to get out of them, and then they have a lot of old players on big deals, so they're gonna be really bad after that.
Yeah, they're gonna really fall off the cliff in terms of talent.
Yeah, but that's like the supermax thing. But yeah, Grizzlies figure they'll also be like around 42, 43 kind of wins.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. By the way, do you know, I haven't really watched the Grizzlies game intently this season so far yet, but is Chandler Parsons back, and is he playing, or is he still making $94 million for sitting on the bench?
I don't think he's injured anymore.
Okay.
I hope he's not.
You know what? I was a big fan of him when he played for the Mavericks and the Rockets. He's a good player, but
oh no, he's had right knee soreness in the game today.
There you go. See, like he's signed to $94 million over 4 years, and he spends more time in the hospital bed than he does on the court. Unfortunately.
Yeah, the Grizzlies are somewhat similar to the whatchamacallits. Who am I trying to say here?
I do not know.
Even I don't know, dude. Like they just have a lot of money like locked up in like the Wizards. It's similar to the Wizards. I'm trying to say.
It's the Wizards.
They have a lot of money locked up in like just good but not great players.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more pronounced with the Wizards with the Grizzlies though, because at least John Wall is a very good player. Mike Conley is a good player. You know what I mean?
I suppose.
But yeah.
I don't think Parsons has played a game this year yet. In fact.
Oh well, rip Chandler Parsons' career, dude. It's so sad. But
yeah, reminds me of a worse Brandon Roy.
Don't talk about Brandon Roy. That's just one of the saddest stories in the league. One of.
Has he played this year? He's played no 0 minutes.
0 minutes.
Yeah, not ideal.
Unfortunate. Okay, so who's next?
But okay, next is the Kings, who are 6-4.
Somehow
the Kings are 6-4. Something has gone wrong. Actually, wait, they're 6-5. They lost to the Bucks by 35 today. Never mind.
You know what? They're still over 500. which is probably the best they've been in the last 10
Yeah, at the
years.
10-game mark, this is probably the best they've been in a while.
Since like 2004, I want to
Yeah,
say.
with Weber and all them.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to say since 2004 because they never made the playoffs with DeMarcus Cousins, which is wild, but that just goes to show how dysfunctional that organization was.
I mean, organization also Cousins isn't exactly like a team kind of player. He'll
Oh,
get
yeah.
he'll get his, but he won't.
Oh,
really
he
care
will
about
get
what happens
his.
after.
He will get only his. But no, it's good to see progress from De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield. And Marvin Bagley's been playing pretty well for them as a rookie. He seems to be promising. Kind of excited to see where his career goes. I don't think he should have been taken second overall by. I wouldn't have made that decision, but
Okay, I think Bagley was more of a safer kind of pick, is what
yeah,
I
yeah.
can compare it, because what the people after him were Doncic and Trae Young.
Right.
Now Doncic European, they don't want to fuck up another draft pick. I think
Fair enough.
that was, and Trae Young was also like unproven out of college because
Really inconsistent.
okay, not exactly unproven. I would say it's just you don't want to like hedge all your bets on a guy who could potentially be a massive bust in the league.
Right.
So,
Trae Young was extreme boomer bust. We didn't talk about him with the Hawks, but extreme boomer bust
right, we can
candidate.
miss him. Yeah, like it's tough. If like as an organization who screwed up a lot of draft picks, I feel like they were pressured to.
Yeah.
Also, they do have De'Aaron Fox at the guard position.
That's true.
So it's more of like a team building kind of thing. But Trae Young, if they mess up that draft pick, then I think the organization as a whole would just be like laughed out of the league.
Yeah, they might be forced to drop to the G League.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's at least they're kind of
it's-
turning things around there, so that's good for that
It's good to
city.
see the Kings like play with some kind of pace.
Yeah,
De'Aaron
they're
Fox,
fast.
I
They're
just
the
like-
second fastest team in the league behind the Lakers right now, I think.
Yeah.
Unless that number's
De'Aaron
changed.
Fox, like I'm very high on him. I think he's very good. I like him being able to control the tempo of how the game goes
Mhm.
just by just turning on the Jets and running.
He's
which
so
is,
fast. He's so fast.
It's just quick, dude. Like you look at him, like when you lose sight of him for a second, he's at the
Yeah.
watch.
Oh yeah. He's amazing. It's so much fun to watch.
The Kings on the break is a good team.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, there are no Lakers on the break, but
All right, cool. After the Kings, we have the Clippers, ATT's old favorite team.
All right. Don't expose me on the first/third episode of the buzzer beater, but yeah, I did used to like the Clippers. When I liked the Clippers, okay, one, I was 13 years old. I didn't really know what I was doing about basketball. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know about all the Donald Sterling bullshit. I didn't know that the Clippers were a joke. But yeah, I don't know. The Clippers, after they moved on from their core of CP3, Blake, and DeAndre, they're kind of in no man's land at this point. Cause
I mean, so far they've gotten okay, they've beaten the Thunder, they've beaten the Rockets twice.
that's just because the
Really
Rockets
not.
are sucked. Like that's
Yeah, the Rockets have been playing pretty awesome lately.
yeah.
That just goes to say, they've beaten the Wizards, which doesn't count for anything in my eyes, and they've beaten the Magic. So, it's tough to call with the Clippers. I think they're a below 500 team.
I would agree.
So, this is just like a good start for them. Kind of. It's not going to be continued.
Yeah, I think I think they have no expectations and they have no pressure to be good at any point, that they can afford to play their two rookies. The two rookies that they picked before Michael Porter Jr., by the way. I felt
Yeah, that
like
was a mistake. I don't know what happened to that.
I think they
They-
were just trying to be safe again with the injury concerns with
I don't
him,
know. If
but
you have two picks, you just take a
yeah, that's what I would have done. Because I think he has the highest upside in the draft. If he can stay healthy, it's a big if because he had major surgeries on his back. But if he's able to stay healthy, I think he will come out and finish his career as the best player from this draft. But we'll see.
Yeah.
That's a long way to go from now.
All right. After the Clippers, we have the Thunder sitting at 4-4. Now, 4-4 is not indicative of how like they've been playing what do I want to say? Like Russ has been. I don't think Russ has played all their games.
Yeah, he missed like the first three, I want to say.
Yeah, and they lost their first 4 games and have ripped off 4 straight after. So I think things are looking out for them. I don't think at any point is this like, um, what the hell's happening to the Thunder, or what, like, are they gonna blow it up or something after signing Paul George? I think they're gonna be good in the West. I don't see anything too wrong with them as a team.
I think it's kind of hard to tell because they've looked really inconsistent to me. Like some games that come out and they look and this has just been the case with them forever. As far as I can remember, except when they had Durant, because KD he's amazing. He's a great player, and he kind of like, no matter what, the team looked good. But the season that he got injured, remember, like when he broke his foot or whatever, and then
that was
left.
a pretty awkward season for the Thunder because they missed the playoffs with Russ was also injured for like a continued period of time.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, in general, I just feel like
that could have been a fun season, by the way, because they only missed out on the playoffs because of some ridiculous Anthony Davis buzzer beater, like double clutch year or some ridiculous shit from 30 feet.
Yeah, I remember that.
If they make the playoffs that year as the 8th seed, they could have like really fucked things up in the West.
They could have.
Because I think they would have put the Warriors first round in the year where they won the first year.
Yeah.
And I think they beat the Warriors that year, if anything, because as an unproven team in the playoffs.
You know what? Even if they don't, I think that's a little bit of a hot take, but even if they don't beat the Warriors, I definitely think they slow them down enough to the point where the Cavs can end up beating them in the finals.
Yeah. But that's what I think. Like,
that's a big
Thunder could have been a very cool 8th seed in that year. So yeah.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I just feel like the Thunder, especially after KD left, they've just been really inconsistent. And I think that has a lot to do with the coaching. I personally believe that Billy Donovan is the worst coach in the NBA currently.
Okay, after Tyler got fired, yeah, sure, I'll agree with.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tom Thibodeau is getting pretty close to that, but for now,
Tibbs needs to go. By the way,
hey, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get to the Timberwolves.
Yeah,
but
he's next on the thing. Actually.
Yeah, so I don't know. Thunder is hard to tell.
I think Billy Donovan, Tyronn Lue, both of them have been carried by just having good players on their teams.
Right.
To the point where they don't really need to coach anything. They just need to be there pretty much. Ty Lue especially.
Ty Lue for sure. But I also feel like it was kind of unfair of Cleveland to just kick him as soon as the season started. I feel like we don't more likely than not he would have been an awful coach. But we don't know that because he coached LeBron. Right? So we don't know.
But I think I don't know.
I was never high on him. Like I don't think he would have been a good coach ever, but I feel like it was unfair of the Cavs to not give him an opportunity to show.
Yeah, I mean they could have given him at least 20 games. I feel.
Yeah.
But, I think the only reason that it was him in Cleveland at first was because he got along well with the players.
With LeBron.
So, yeah, with LeBron pretty much. Yeah. So he got along well with LeBron coached the team is what really happened.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, Ty Lue. I just forget him. I think he's very bad. But Billy Donovan, I think he started off in the year where the Thunder lost a 3-1 lead to the Warriors that year. I think
so.
As a coach, he was pretty solid there. He got the lineups and stuff right for that year.
Yeah.
He figured out the Warriors for 4 games, and then he pretty much had them beat.
And then Westbrook and
crazy Game 6.
Yeah, and Westbrook and Westbrook and KD both choked on nuts.
Yeah, it was pretty painful to watch. In fact, I think ATT was actually...
Yeah, we watched that together at your place. Yeah. I was really upset at that because we watched it with friends, and so IPF and I, obviously, we're not, Warriors fans, so by extension, we were rooting for the
Thunder. Also, I did like the Thunder a lot at that point. They were second favorite team.
I was neutral. Yeah. I didn't really care, but... We were with two of the most obnoxious bandwagon Warrior fans. Obviously, I'm not going to take their name. They're two of our closest friends. Don't get me wrong. We love the guys. But, man, that was so infuriating.
Yeah. We watched Klay Thompson basically bring the Warriors back from the dead in Game 6, which is probably one of the most painful experiences in my life.
Yeah.
But so Billy Donovan, he started off well that first year. I think he had it figured out. But then KD left, obviously, that same offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, then there's the year of anger with Russ, where he just went crazy, triple doubles everywhere. So you know what, you can't really do much as a coach at that point.
Kind of,
But I
yeah.
feel last year is the big indicative kind of year of what he can do as a coach, because with Paul George and Carmelo on his roster,
And they did
and
nothing.
yeah, it just didn't work out. I think this year, if they're not like at least a 50-win team
He
or
should
like a
get
top
canned.
four team in the West, then I think there's something wrong with the coaching spot on
I
that
think, yeah,
team.
that's what I think. I already think that he's one of the worst coaches in the league. I think by far he's the worst. But, well, I mean, he's just not creative, you know? Like, his lineups
Yeah,
sometimes just don't make
like
sense.
when you compare him to like the top coaches like Brad Stevens or Greg Popovich.
I'm not even going that far. I'm just comparing him to, like, an average NBA coach.
Yeah, I mean, okay, right now you'd say like top coaches are Stevens, Pop, Kerr, D'Antoni. Oh, not right now, but you know, in general.
I would think, like,
And
Terry Stotts would be up there.
yeah, like those are probably your top five coaches in the league, right?
Gilbert somewhere around that. Yeah, I feel like we're forgetting somebody really important, but
I
oops.
mean, there's a few. Like Spoelstra is really good,
Yeah,
but the Heat have
Spo.
a bad team,
Yeah,
so you can't
Spo.
really do too much with that.
I think Dwayne
Um,
Casey is still a really good coach. He's
Budenholzer obviously with the Bucks,
yeah. See, there you go, Budenholzer. He's yeah.
but like okay, I like that's like your top like tier coaches,
Hmm.
and I feel like Billy Donovan either has to get to a tier two or like just in between that tier one and tier two.
For the Thunder to be
So
good, but I don't think he has it in
yeah,
him to
like
do that.
they need a coach in that range.
Yeah.
If they want to be really good because they have the pieces. It's not like they don't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I agree. Okay, we spent way too long talking about the Thunder. Uh,
Yeah, that's kind of a mistake. Sorry, my bad.
I mean it's all good. We're gonna have to.
Timberwolves is one more team we're gonna be
We're gonna
talking
talk.
about for
Yeah, I
a
was just gonna
while.
say that. I was like, okay, we're gonna spend another 10 minutes on the Timberwolves. Easy.
Jesus, oh god.
All right.
So
What's first?
big train wreck here, massive train wreck.
It's
Wait,
unfortunate.
let me pull up a tweet. You talk about them for a bit.
I'm gonna pull up a tweet. Okay, so I don't know what to say about the Timberwolves apart from the fact that everybody
Yo,
needs to go in
one
that
second.
front office.
I need to take a call. Give me a minute.
Sure, I'll talk about the Timberwolves in the meantime. Um, I feel like for one, they need to get rid of Jimmy Butler. No matter what they do, they have to find a way to get rid of him. I don't know why they haven't taken up the Rockets' offer yet. The Rockets were willing to offer four first or future first round picks. That's 4 picks over 8 years because there's two rules which say that you can. There's one rule which I think it's called the step-in rule or the steep-in rule. I don't know how you say it, but there's one rule which says that you cannot trade back-to-back first-round picks. So you can't trade this year's and next year's. You can only trade this year and then the year after that. So that's one of the rules. I think that's called the step-in rule. And then there's another rule that you can only trade first-round picks up to 7 years out. So the Rockets were willing to trade salary, which would be I think Brandon Knight's dead salary, and I think it might have been Michael Carter Williams. I don't remember what the exact offer was, but they're willing to fill. They're willing to trade salary plus four future first round picks. That's 4 years over the next 4 picks over the next 7 years, and the Timberwolves didn't jump at that offer yet. And I think that's a really big problem in terms of the front office that Minnesota has. I think they need to. I would say they should just fire Tom Thibodeau altogether because currently he's both the coach and GM. At the bare minimum, they need to strip him of the GM powers because he's doing an awful job of keeping the Timberwolves he's holding them back. He's really holding them back because he loves Jimmy Butler. He refuses to trade Jimmy Butler, and they have this amazing package in front of them for future first round picks. You're not going to get anything better than that for Jimmy Butler at this point, and he's refusing to pull the trigger. So I think Glenn Taylor, the owner of the Timberwolves, need to fire Tom Thibodeau as soon as possible. And at the bare minimum, strip him of his GM powers for not making that move, and then make that move himself. Um, Jimmy Butler kind of owns that team right now. He owns the players. He owns like the locker room. It's really wild. Everything that's going on there, like it's crazy. There's so much dysfunction in the organization. Nobody knows what's going on. Jimmy Butler wants to be traded, of course. Tom Thibodeau doesn't want to trade him. Glenn Taylor, the owner, wants to trade him, and he's telling Tom Thibodeau to trade him, but Thibodeau refuses. Like it's a mess. Honestly, it's a mess. I've never seen anything like it. But the only solution is to get rid of Butler, get rid of Tom Thibodeau, and start fresh. Get rid of Wiggins if you can too. Wiggins is so overrated. Hopefully, he can turn his career around. It's not been going very well so far. Like, he started off looking really well, looking really nice. I think they signed him to a max or near max rookie extension, and then he's kind of like slowed down. He's slowed down his growth, and I think he's plateaued in terms of overall skill as well. Like, I think his numbers this season are a lot worse than they were last season. And Karl Anthony Towns, who's their best player, or should be in theory their best player, somehow Jimmy Butler is still their best player, even though he doesn't want to be there. But he's just a very good basketball player. I don't like him anymore after what happened. I had mad respect for him, but after what he did with the locker room, I can't respect that. That's a really crappy move to do on you to like pull on your teammates. But Karl Anthony Towns, when Jimmy Butler's playing, he's averaging like 12 to 15 points a game. I don't know the exact number, but I know it's in that range. And when Jimmy Butler is not playing, he is averaging 28 points, I think. So like it's really weird. I think he just hates Jimmy Butler, and so when Jimmy's there, he just doesn't feel like playing. He's like kind of distracted. It's just really really weird right now in Minnesota. But they're 4-6, going beyond them. Number 12 seed currently are the LA Lakers. They're also 4-6. They just lost to, I don't know if this 4-6 is counting. Yeah, it is counting the Raptors loss today. So they were 4-5 before that. They're 4-6 now. And the Lakers, I think the record is not at all indicative of how good of a team they are or will be throughout the rest of the season. I think they started off really really slowly. They kind of picked it up a little bit in the middle. They had obviously the problems with the starters and stuff. And apart from today's game where they got blown back, most of their losses and wins for that matter, but most of the games have been really close. And I think they could very easily be 6-3 or 7-3 at this point. Just based on the talent that's on the team. Like, people are saying LeBron, for one, is not playing like himself at all. He's averaging like 29% from 3. He's shooting like 60% from free throws. He's missing clutch free throw after clutch free throw after clutch free throw. He's just not been himself. And I don't expect that to continue. I think he's gonna get better. When I say get better, I think he's gonna get back to being LeBron James. Like, okay, I can see him dipping a little bit from his numbers in Cleveland, but not by this much, right? He's shooting awful from 3. He's shooting awful from the free throw line. He's shooting pretty bad from the field. He plays no defense whatsoever. Last year the Lakers finished, I think, as a top 10 defensive rating or somewhere in that range for sure. And this year they're like 27th again. And they were 27th 2 years ago when they had like D'Angelo Russell playing for them. So like, the Lakers, I feel like they don't have anywhere to go but up from this position, and I think it's a good thing because I think they will go up for sure. I think Lonzo Ball has been really really underrated this season so far. Last season he was also underrated. I feel like he should have been talked about more positively than he was. He was definitely like ridiculed. His shot is ugly. It's non-conventional, but it's falling for him. He's shooting over 40% from 3. Over 40% from 3 this season so far. He's shooting like 41, 42%, which is amazing. I'm really happy to see that development from him. The only thing I would want to say about Lonzo is he still needs to be a little bit more aggressive. He's not shooting the ball with the confidence that I'd like to see from him, because he's knocking his shots down. He's shooting, like I said, over 40% from 3, so he should be taking more shots than he is. I don't feel like he's confident in himself because of last season where he really struggled with his shot. I think mentally that's taking a toll on him this season. So he should be shooting more than he is. His defense has looked really solid. His passing, of course, unbelievable. Unbelievable intellect on this guy. And he impacts the game in ways that you can't unless you're watching the game and you're paying attention to Lonzo specifically, you won't notice what he does on the court. The way he sets screens, the way he fights over them, through them, around them, like the way he out hustles basically everybody on the court except Josh Hart, who I'll get to in a second. Like Lonzo has been really, really good for the Lakers so far. He started off slow, coming back from the injury, but he's really picked it up, and I'm really happy with the progression I've seen from him. Beyond that, we have Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram has been really odd, in the sense that he's been playing very well when LeBron is not on the floor next to him. He to start the season for sure. I think they're starting to kind of figure out the chemistry between LeBron and Ingram a little bit more. Um, excuse me. But to start the season for sure, Ingram was relegated to being a spot up shooter next to LeBron, because that's kind of what LeBron does, right? At first, LeBron, he was just pounding the ball, holding the ball at the top of the key, kind of surveying the court, holding it for 10 seconds, and then trying to drive and kick to a shooter, outside, which is not Ingram's game. Ingram is a scorer. Um, he's he's not a shooter. He's a scorer. He can put the ball on the court, on the floor, and go hard at the rim, draw fouls, live at the free throw line. He has a knack for picking up shooting fouls on jump shots, which is crazy to me because that's not very common. You don't see that very often, but he's able to do that. So I think he's a really effective player when he's not next to LeBron. And I think it has a lot to do because he likes to have the ball in his hand. He plays really well off ball. He cuts. He's one of the best cutters in the league, I think. I like just cutting off ball. But, which I thought going into the season, I thought that would fit a lot more with LeBron because LeBron likes to find guys on cuts. But for whatever reason, I think it's, honestly, I know it's kind of stupid to kind of say this, but I feel like he's starstruck playing next to LeBron because that's obviously somebody he looked up to, as a player, just because of how good LeBron is. And I feel like he's kind of nervous in the sense that that's kind of the body language that I'm kind of feeling from him. I don't know how accurate this is. I don't know, if he really feels this way or not. But I can't blame him for feeling like that. But that's kind of what I feel like in his body language. He just seems like he's trying not to mess up in front of LeBron. So that's why he plays better when LeBron's off the court because there's a little bit less pressure on him, externally, and like he's able to put up a lot of points, which is something I'm glad to see. His defense has been outstanding. He can't guard ball handlers, like quick ball handlers like De'Aaron Fox, a point guard like that. There's no way Ingram can stay in front of him. But somebody, the wings, I think he's been one of the better wing defenders in the league so far. Definitely the best on the Lakers. But yeah, I think he has real upside. And then talk about Kuzma. Kuzma's been very, he's been playing really well next to LeBron because, like I said, LeBron kind of makes your he makes your other forward. So if LeBron's playing the four, your other forward is basically relegated to a spot up shooter, and that's something Kuzma's really good at because he's a good shooter. He's also a scorer, but not in the same way as Ingram. He likes to cut off of screens. He likes to play off of screens, not cut off of screens. He likes to play off of screens. He likes to set screens, roll to the rim. He likes to cut a little bit without the ball, but he really likes to shoot from the mid range. He likes to create his own shot from the post. Like, he's a good scorer, and I think that fits. He's a good secondary scorer, which I think fits better with LeBron. So I think the Lakers, one, they need to figure out their defense because they don't have a backup center. So as soon as JaVale McGee sits down, it's kind of over for them, which is really funny because JaVale is not. He's a good rim protector, kind of. He's not the most cerebral player, obviously. You all know about his shot and a fool nonsense, but like there's a lot to work on with the Lakers. I'm obviously slightly biased in the sense that I'm a lot more positive on them. But I do know like they do have a lot of weaknesses to cover for right now. Rondo has been playing pretty well. KCP has not been playing like himself either. He shot close to 38% from the field from three last season. This year he's nowhere near that. So he also has a lot of room to improve. And I feel like once they start clicking, a lot of the team, you got to remember, a lot of the team is one, very young, and two, not very experienced with playing with each other. Like, it's a new team, new rosters. it's Lance Stevenson, like Mickey, all these people, they're all new. Michael Beasley, although he hasn't been getting minutes recently because he's been playing pretty garbage. Jonathan Williams, and now Tyson Chandler, who they will sign as soon as he clears waivers. I think that once things start to fall in place a little bit more, they will skyrocket up the standings. Right now they're at 12. I think they very easily can finish top 5 in the West once things start to click a little bit better for them. Moving on, I'm sorry, I know I talked about the Lakers a lot. I think I talked about the Lakers alone for a good 10 minutes, which is I don't want to do. I could talk about them for hours, but I don't want to because this is a full NBA podcast, not just the Lakers. Next we have the Rockets. They're 3-5. I'm gonna hold off on this one until IPF comes back. Who knows when he'll come back? I don't know what happened. He said he had to take a phone call, which is fine. If he doesn't come back, I'll just talk about the Rockets and end it there. But hopefully he does make it back soon. But in the meantime, I'm going to talk about the Suns. The Suns are currently 2-7. They did win today. Okay, IPF is back.
Alright, I'm back.
All right.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Calls.
It's fine. I just talked about the Timberwolves and the Lakers while you were gone, so now it is the Rockets' turn. So.
Oh boy, can we not?
Yeah, it's your turn. You're the Rockets fan. You gotta talk us through it.
Alright. As painful as it is for me to talk about this, 3-5. All pretty bad losses, pretty much. There isn't too many excuses that can be made for the playing. Obviously, there's been a couple of issues. Harden's had some hamstring problems. The boy Chris Paul got suspended for 2 days. 2 games, with the crap that happened against the Lakers. But overall, as a team, they're not playing as they should be. They don't have that same swagger that they did last year, pretty much. That same free-flowing offense is kind of missing. It's tough because I feel if you give them into things, I think they will get back into it. But I think the loss to the Warriors last year in the conference finals, which I do believe they would win if Chris Paul's hamstring didn't decide to bop in the middle. I think that demoralized them because last year they were completely locked in. It's we are beating the Warriors this year. And I feel this year they know that their roster isn't as good as last year, and they also know that the Warriors are better than last year. So that same confidence and just motivation to get through the season kind of missing is what I think I can see. Obviously, not associated with the team, but at least that's what I think is happening right now. Sir.
Okay, so that's all you want to talk about. Because the Rockets, your team, I don't want to step on your toes. I talked about the Lakers for probably a little bit too long.
Yeah, there isn't too much to say. I've had players missing, but that isn't good enough of an excuse to start 3-5. Because I do understand the point that we stagger our minutes. So if you're missing Harden, per se, like I said, Harden's been out for I think 2 games this so far. So if you're missing Harden, you're playing half of your game without a star player on the court. It's if you continue with the same thing, which ends up which causes things like CP3 playing 40 minutes a game and having insane stat lines like the one he had against the Nets, where he had 30 something points, took 27 shots, which you barely see from CP3. So it's really difficult. They're very thin as well, top heavy roster. They don't have too much bench production, which is fine in the playoffs, but in regular season you'd like to have more than 3 guys coming off the bench and putting in worthwhile minutes. But yeah, as a team it's kind of it's not looking amazing right now, but they've ripped off 2 wins recently. They play the Pacers soon, so hopefully they can get things back on track, because I do believe they are still the second best team in the West. They just need to get their stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay,
yeah.
All right, so if that's it for the Rockets, then we'll move on to the Phoenix Suns.
Okay, I mean the Suns, not too much to say, is there? They're not good. That's really
the
main problem.
Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong whatsoever with that.
They stole Trevor Ariza from the Rockets by giving him like 15 million a year, which is wild.
I think the Suns. I feel bad for Devin Booker in the sense. I think he's a really good player.
He is, but I figured the Suns, they've gotten draft picks right in the last 2 or 3 years. So, I think if you give them a couple years to like go together, they should be like pretty solid. I feel, with like Booker, Josh Jackson, and DeAndre Ayton as your core. I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah, I really think that offensively, I know this is gonna be this is one a really hot take, and two, kind of overreacting so far. But I really think the DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker pairing, just watching them, reminds me of Kobe
You're
and
gonna say
Shaq.
Kobe and Shaq. Yeah, there you go.
It reminds me of Kobe and Shaq. No, not nowhere near as good as Kobe or Shaq was. But the style, I just feel like they have that.
Yeah, I mean, as a
Stylistically.
big guy, little guy core,
Yeah.
especially with Booker being shooting guard and not your stereotypical, point guard center kind of core. There are flashes, especially with like Booker being a volume shooter and Ayton being like a rim running kind of center. Not exactly rim running, but just like a big presence.
Just an offensive, like you have to keep an eye on him on offense.
Yeah.
Defensively is completely different. Shaq and Kobe are both amazing defenders at their positions. Both of these guys are awful. That's beside the point. But offensively,
But on the offensive end, you can like trick yourself into thinking, yeah, this is like Kobe and Shaq next, like your reincarnation.
okay, don't say reincarnation. They're nowhere near as good as Kobe and Shaq will ever. Like they're never gonna get there.
I said trick. I said trick yourself into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and honestly, I don't want to get too much into the X's and O's, but I really would like to see what they can run if who's their coach again? The European dude.
Okay. It's like Igor or something.
Igor Kokosh, whatever. Coco, Tabu Coco.
Real quick.
Yeah, they got Tabu Coco in there. I feel like if he can but he can use some of the triangle offensive principles. Kokoshkov?
How do you pronounce the S with like the little V on top? Kosh. Okay, let's not do this.
I really don't know. But I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to get too much into the X's and O's here. But I really think they could use some of the triangle principles in their offense because they have the personnel for it. They have DeAndre Ayton, who's a big man that can make decisions. They have Devin Booker, who can create his own shot, just like Kobe could, from the wings and the elbows. And then they have knockdown shooters. Well, I don't want to say knockdown. Trevor Ariza is not a knockdown shooter, but he's an effective scorer from the corner. And I think, I don't want to say just run the triangle offense, because that's not going to be successful in 2018. But if they can take some of their principles, I think in the future that could be something that they could see success with. But obviously, I'm not an NBA coach. I never will be. But that's just something that jumps out to me based on that comparison.
But the Suns do have the pieces. Like, it's not like they don't. All right. Now, apart from that, we have not. Did you cover the Jazz or the Pelicans?
No, I thought.
Okay.
Wait, we did not cover the Jazz or the Pelicans. Did you just skip them? Did you go from the Thunder to the Timberwolves?
Yeah, that's what the standings are.
Okay.
Jazz and the Pelicans
So I guess while we were talking about the Timberwolves, the standings update a little bit because now the Jazz and Pelicans are over the Wolves. So maybe they both won today. I don't know. I didn't pay attention, but yeah.
Oh, it looks like I got a buy for Blunder Tour as well.
I also got. Why are we talking about that? I also got a buy from Blunder Tour. Anyway, not talking about that.
No, I was just looking at Jada's thing.
Yeah,
I because they fucked up with there's only 1,600 and 2,048 brackets.
Yeah, so a lot of people probably got buys.
Gonna get buys.
Okay, do you want to talk about the Mavericks or the Jazz or the Pelicans? Because those are the two teams left.
Okay, we'll get to the Mavericks last. Jazz, bad start. 4-5 is not like ideal. They're still the same gritty team. I don't think they're a great regular season team. Is what I think of them as. I think they're gonna be the one team that nobody wants to play in the playoffs because in the playoffs they're not gonna like concede points at all. Like they are gonna run the scoreboard dry. Nothing is gonna be scored that game. I feel like in the playoffs, if you see a game over 110 points against the Jazz, then something's gone wrong.
Then it's
Like,
only versus the Warriors. Yeah,
Yeah,
then
pretty much.
yeah, I
Because
mean,
they're a very stingy team on defense. Obviously, with the Stifle Tower himself in the center,
mhm.
um, and with just a lot of really long guys and just defensive studs around them, then you're not going to be giving up too many points. But offensively, they haven't really been clicking. Uh,
I
yeah,
think
it's just
Donovan
yeah.
Mitchell's had a slightly
He's okay. They
slower
should be playing
start.
better. They
Yeah.
really should be playing better. But I think just a couple of things have not exactly clicked yet. It's just a slow start, I think.
Can
Because as soon as they get like any offensive production, I feel like the wins will start coming in a lot freely after.
Can I say that Donovan Mitchell might not be the superstar that everybody thinks he is, or that he will
Um.
be?
Okay. I was thinking this last year as well. I don't. I think everyone's like kind of lost their shit a bit too much for like rookie
Mhm.
year. But while everyone else sees like the 25 points per game and all this other stuff, I see 25 shots per game in the
Exactly.
playoffs.
That's what
So
I'm saying. Like, he's not bad, but I don't think he'll ever be. Well, we don't know. He's still really young in his career, obviously. Like, he could take huge leaps, which usually players do between their first and second year, which we haven't seen so far from him. That's why I'm kind of starting to think maybe he peaked. Well, I don't want to say peaked. He's obviously going to get better than he did last season, but um, I don't think he's going to get too much better. I think he's going to be maybe the second best option on the championship team, but I don't think he's going to make it to the first ever.
I think he's like volume score.
Yeah.
But like since we're saying that, like he could drop 50 tomorrow, and
Oh
we'd
yeah.
be like,
Oh yeah. He could make us look
actually,
retarded.
they're playing the Raptors. He won't be dropping 50. But like he has that potential to just go off
Mhm.
at pretty much any game.
Yeah. He's
So,
really
it happens.
he's really microwavy in that sense.
Yeah, maybe indeed. So from the Jazz, the Pelicans. Once again, I didn't actually think. Now that I look at it, it's kind of weird. Was I think this is something. Okay, see, they started 4-0 and they lost. The issue here,
Yeah.
but I feel like the same thing is happening again, where in the playoffs last year, they had they had a Holiday going crazy,
Mhm.
like he went insane.
He went apeshit, really.
Yeah, and then after seeing them play last year in the playoffs against the Trailblazers and the Warriors after, let's say, is that right?
Yeah.
Warriors, right? No, the Rockets. No, Warriors, correct.
No, it was there.
It was the Warriors. They were 3v6. Yeah, Warriors.
Yeah.
But everyone thought, if they get the same core back, they're going to be really good. And it hasn't really panned out so far. So right now, Nikola Mirotic is their top scorer. So it looks like AD is having a slow start.
I don't
But-
want to say he's having a slow start. Like he's not the top scorer, but he's having a great season. Not AD God mode season, but I think he's playing well. He could get
I think-
better. More
Yeah,
than
I
more than
think-
him getting better, I think Mirotic is gonna slow down.
Yeah, right now, like stats wise, Mirotic is outplaying him. Obviously, defensively, AD gives a lot more than
Mhm.
Mirotic gives you. But I think as soon as AD goes to AD, like the guy who is on his day probably the best player in the league.
For sure.
Once we get him back, then the wins will start coming back easily. So yeah. And last but not least, actually maybe least, possibly least, are the Mavericks with their ungodly backcourt for the future, I might add.
Yeah.
I think Doncic and Dennis Smith Jr. is an amazing backcourt to have.
I think they fit well together for the most part.
Yeah, like Dennis Smith Jr. is probably like one of the most
I think
players. He's explosive,
Yeah.
fast.
I think
Ooh.
defensively that's what the problem is going to be with those two going forward.
Yeah, that is probably the big issue. I think probably okay. Doncic as probably not the greatest on defense. European guards are known for just being like crafty on offense and then just deadly on
Sucking
defense
everywhere
end.
else. Like no athleticism, no.
I mean, okay, athletically, you can't say that Doncic is like that. I think he is.
He's looked
different
better
to-
than I expected going in for
Yeah.
sure.
He is different to what you expect from European guards, but he is still dead weight on defense. I think that has not changed.
And I don't
But
think that will
Dennis
for a
Smith
long
Jr.
time.
Dennis Smith Jr. I feel has potential to be like pretty solid on defense, just because he's quick. I mean,
Yeah. He reminds
just-
me
he needs-
of like John Wall defensively, and
yeah,
not
he
to
just
say
needs that awareness.
yeah, not to
Like,
say that John Wall is like is an amazing defender, because like he's not, but he's a good defensive point guard.
Yeah, but I think if Dennis Smith Jr. can lock himself in defensively, pay attention to it, then he could be like pretty solid on that end. And then you're pretty much set, because you don't need your backcourt to be like two defensive, like two-way like guys. You just need at least one of them to be like solid on the defensive end. So if you can keep those two for the future and then surround them with like good players, I think they could be really good. But right now they look like the Trailblazers, but not developed yet. So they need to surround them with good players.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, so
Alright, so that covers all 30 teams.
that's all 30. That's, do you want to end this one here, or do you want to go more in depth on something? We're at an hour and 30, so I think this is a good time to end it here.
Yeah, I think so too. It's pretty
Okay.
solid podcast.
Sounds
Very
good.
solid podcast.
Very solid podcast, VSP. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed. Check out IPF. I'll link his Twitter, his YouTube. Obviously, both of our channels are more Pokemon oriented, but if you do like basketball more, because I'm going to try to obviously SEO this a little bit differently than I usually do. Stick around. This is hopefully going to be a weekly thing. You don't have to pay attention to the rest of my videos, but should be a weekly podcast between me and IPF. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Check him out. I'll leave the links to him in the description. And see you guys next time. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.